I think a lot of this gets missed when people talk about Max, and he often gets branded as, natural talent. And, this has been years and years and years of hard work. And there's a reason why he goes out in FP1 and sets purple after purple after purple whilst other drivers set up. It's because he's been practicing the track hours and hours in the week leading up.
What would be the process that you would go through with Max ahead of a weekend or ahead of a race?
Yeah, Max did a lot of his prior to a race weekend. He's very big on his simulator driving. And you'll see drivers now that kind of, they'll prepare, they'll sit in a chair before they go out onto the race or a quali, close their eyes, practice each corner. Max is a little bit more kind of that new generation of simulator driver where they're getting so many virtual laps of a track that they're doing some real like high level visualization stuff. Saudi Arabia, the first year we went there, is the best example of that. No one could get a handle of that circuit for the entire FP1. And Max just kept going purple, purple, purple. And that's a difficult track as well. And he'd actually found, so Red Bull didn't even have the simulator version of the track in their simulator. And Max had managed to find someone online to like build out what the track looked like a spec to put on his own simulator.
No
so
way.
That he could practice the track.
So he was able to practice the Saudi track on something that no one else had access to.
Yeah.
That is brilliant.
But off his own back, and this is the sort of work ethic and the differences that make champions, right? This is 2021. We're in a title fight. Every little bit matters. And ultimately we didn't win Saudi for a number of reasons, but you could see the pace that he set first off, and actually his qualifying lap before he pinged the wall would have probably gone down as one of the greatest ever.
Talk me through that moment from your perspective.
Just head in hands. Because, and again, this is like how clever he was in that moment, because he could have carried on the lap, but he pulled the car over because he didn't want it to cause any more doubt. Like we were already starting, I think, P3 or something from his previous lap, which he knew. And obviously, if he'd finished the lap, he could have damaged the car further, which then would have impacted the race. So he's on this absolute flying lap. It's P1 for sure. Pings the wall and then just pulls it over and stops on track. We're like, what's happened? What's going on? But in his mind, he's like, well, I've got to get points tomorrow because we're one race away from winning the world championship. And it just shows the kind of mental capacity. But yeah, for me, head in hands. Oh no.
Yeah. And those are the moments, I think, where he's not even really processing necessarily, right? It's kind of this natural ability to just deal with the hard moments, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't think that even that's dealing with it. That is his just natural ability on track to extract everything out of it.
Yeah.
Because afterwards, he's obviously disappointed and he's reacting emotionally after the fact. But he's been in the sport for a long time. He knows that, especially from his early days, that nowadays emotions need to be kept in check until you kind of get behind closed doors a little bit more. And the kind of world we live in these days, you got to be a bit careful. But yeah, I think in that moment, he's such that relentless winner that he's only thinking about how do I win tomorrow.
When was the moment that you saw Max do something and you thought, oh, this guy's different?
I think
you know how much I love Formula One, and we know that you love the Formula One conversations here on High Performance. But the truth is that high performance in F1 isn't just what happens on the track. It's also about consistency. It's about identity. And you know what? Style works the same way. Because the clothes that you wear, they become part of your story. They're the reason that you stand out. And that is why we're so excited to partner with Vestiaire Collective for the launch of their first ever menswear experience. You can now find a curated selection of standout menswear. That's Cartier watches, Louis Vuitton bags, Gucci sneakers, Burberry jackets, all available at up to 80% off retail. And it also goes the other way. If you think it's time to change up your wardrobe, you can sell your own pre-loved treasures with low fees while giving them a new lease of life. And with more than 15 years of authentication expertise, Vestiaire Collective makes buying and selling simple, stylish, and secure. Honestly, I think it's fantastic. Vestiaire Collective, the go-to destination for pre-loved premium menswear styles. To get involved, just click the link in the description to buy or sell men's pre-loved fashion.
I think F1 in general kind of gave that, but then of course Max as well. And what I've seen from all the world champions I've worked with is this kind of flexibility and adaptability to always perform in the chaos, always perform the same when, everything's just going on around you. And I started seeing it in Max quite early on with like when we'd just be working out, and he doesn't like to work out. He doesn't like the training element. I worry for him after F1 is over, but so it's common knowledge that he hates working out.
Yeah.
But when we got into a workout, it was like, okay, I'm in and I'm all in, and we're going to get the best out of this workout in the most time efficient time that we can. And then I started to see that at track as well. You could be messing around, playing on the phone, playing a bit of football, keep you uppy, whatever. And then as soon as you got into engineering, it's like bang on it, data, racing lines, stuff that I haven't even heard other drivers talk about on certain feedback and stuff there. And then the same would come, when you're getting onto track. There'll be a microphone in his face just as he's getting into the car, just as he's pulling his helmet in. Could be chucking it down with rain, and he'll go out and perform exactly the same. And it's a real like flick of the switch. And you hear him on the radio now. He's watching the TV screens, seeing what's going on in the race. He's passing the pit wall, hears the engine of the Ferrari, and asks, has the Ferrari just boxed? Like, that's how in tune he is with what is going on at that racetrack.
So incredible amounts of spare capacity.
Yeah.
Is that something natural, or is that a learned ability?
I think a bit of both, but I'd actually say mostly with him, it's probably learned. You listen to some of the stories of his past, growing up with his father. His dad would send Max out in his go-kart. He would change something on the go-kart, and he'd give Max 2 laps to come back in and tell him what had changed. And you see that now. He'll drive out in the Red Bull. He'll come back in. He'll be like, have you changed something on the left front? And it'll be the smallest thing that probably had no impact on performance, but he'll know. And then it comes as well, physical fitness, practicing your mental efficiency when it comes to visualization and race days and those sort of things. The more you do all that, the fitter you are, the more capacity you're then going to have in the car when it comes time to make decisions under pressure or fatigue kicks in and those things.